Hey guys, Max 19, welcome back to another tryout. Today's tryout is on Trek to Yomi. I ended up with this game because it was part of the PlayStation Plus free monthly games at some point a little while back, and so it was there on the account, and I was like, sure, I'll check this out. This is something that I've heard about, and it looked really interesting, and I think that's the first thing you'll notice with Trek to Yomi, is that it has really stellar visual design. It finds a way to pretty directly translate a lot of the cinematic elements that it's inspired by. The story so far is kind of a somewhat generic tale of revenge, but I'm not that far into the game. I've only played for a little over an hour, which got me through 2 of the, I think, 6 or 7 levels that are in the game. So there's plenty of time for it to have some twists and turns that make it stand out narratively, but I think its biggest standout is the visual design, really. That black and white, old cinematic feel that is relatively unique to this game. There aren't a lot of games that are really going for that. I think maybe Ghost of Tsushima, I think, has a mode to play in black and white, like those sort of old samurai movies, but this is Trek to Yomi's primary visual style. I'm not even sure if there is color. I didn't see it in the settings. My biggest issues with this game come in its combat and gameplay design. Combat is kind of simple and maybe a little finicky. I was having some issues figuring out block and parry timing, and it seemed that sometimes blocks just wouldn't go through, or there's just something going on where I thought I had blocked or thought I was blocking and I got hit anyway, and it just isn't exactly clear on what all is going on in the combat. I maybe didn't read something in the tutorial messages quite closely enough to maybe I've missed something, but as far as I understood it, it's just if I hold the block button, I should be blocking outside of, my stamina being drained, and then the parry button, if I press it on the timer, I should be parrying, and it's just, maybe it is just me failing to properly use the inputs, but just there's something about it that feels a little off, at least from my experience. And I think a part of this is that often it seems your consequence for getting hit is that you get hit some more, and that often doesn't feel great as a player, because it's I made 1 mistake, not 3 mistakes, I got hit the 1 time, but now because of how the damage reactions are of the player character, I'm getting hit 2 more times, and that doesn't feel great. On top of all of that, I also want to bring up something that I think is sort of odd in the way that the game is set up, and it's that I feel in a lot of the levels you're kind of moving relatively urgently, and so it feels weird in terms of narrative gameplay. It's a sort of ludonarrative dissonance thing, that's the word, where you might I'm gonna go over here and see if there's any collectibles. I'm gonna go over here and see if there's any collectibles, because you're kind of urgently trying to accomplish a task. There's stakes that are pretty immediate, at least in the missions that I've played, and so while there are some cases here and there in the second mission that I played where it didn't feel as odd because I was sort of going off the beaten path and ended up fighting more of the bandits or whatever they are that are plaguing this little village, and so it feels like I'm going off of my way to help protect the village more. Whereas then in some place, I walk into the village and the first thing I can do, I walk into this side building and pick up something. It's okay, this is mine now. And there's just some it's a video game, so you have stuff like that. But I feel if you really want to, you can sort of tie your narrative and your gameplay together really well. And I don't think this is an instance where this game does the best job with it. It's a little thing to point out. And so it's I think the biggest pull this game has is probably its visuals. Maybe its narrative, I'll have to see where it goes, but the gameplay doesn't seem particularly compelling, which is a big downside in this sort of game where it's, you're trying to reenact these cool sort of cinematic samurai battles, but it doesn't always feel like that. For some enemies it does, because you kill them in 1 or 2 hits, but for other enemies with the armor, it just feels like you're whacking at them for a while and doesn't really have the satisfaction of that sort of like quick, like one person is going to make a mistake here type of like cinematic samurai battle that it's really being inspired by with its like how it sets up its shots and everything. However, I do think that I am going to play through the rest of it. It's not a particularly long game as far as I can tell, so it is something that doesn't feel like it's too much of an investment to keep playing, even if it ends up being somewhat dissatisfying, especially as a game that I got through for free via PlayStation Plus. So I'd say for this one, my verdict is a pass ? Like, I think probably look into it, maybe look into some other reviews of people who finished the game, what they think, and see if this type of game is right for you as a player, because I feel like this one is probably one that is relatively niche. Again, being that its main draw is very likely that cinematic, striking visual style. So that's all I had to say about Trek to Yomi. So we go down in the description, find a Beacon-Set AI link that'll take you to all sorts of places like my Patreon, Bandcamp, Redbubble, etc. Click those links, go to those places, do what you do there. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, subscribe if you want to keep up with this and other shows. Mostly this one, but I will be working on other things here and there, so those will come out when they come out. Leave a comment. Have you played Trek to Yomi? What's your favorite samurai game or movie or whatever? Leave a comment, share the video, do things. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!